Andrew, what do you think of Bonnie Blue sleeping with 1,057 men?
That's disgusting.
How honest should I be out of 10?
11.
I want you to be honest.
You want me to be honest?
Yeah, go on.
I don't understand why men sit here and try and lecture you about it. I don't understand why men sit here and say you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
It's your body, your choice, right?
At this point, I don't think the guys talk to her about it because they care about her. I think they're doing it because it's a public safety threat. What she's doing is a biohazard, and you're not going to convince her to not do it, so you got to prevent her from doing it. The government needs to get involved. This is a risk of public safety. 1,000 men in 24 hours is disgusting.
The world we now live in. This is the end result of feminism.
Yeah.
You are the perfect end result of feminism. In the world I believe in the conservative, traditionally masculinely ruled world, a man would be in charge of his daughters until they're handed over to their husbands or boyfriends, and there would be a degree of masculine guidance. But feminism didn't want that.
Right.
You know, women complain that men don't want to get married. We did actually want to get married when we got obedient virgins, but they disappeared, and they complained about the patriarchy, and they were tired of us giving them a house to live in and kids to raise, and they wanted to make their own choices.
Yeah.
So she's making her own choice. That's a fantastic thing. I actually have a lot of respect for you because you own it and you're honest about it.
What if it was your daughter?
Well, that won't happen.
But she's her own person.
I never said my daughter's her own person.
Facts.
I said
So you're
women
gonna
want to
be
be
a-
their own people.
Yeah, you're a
But my
representation
point
of my
is,
family. That's different.
There's so many women who go to Magaluf for a weekend and do something very similar, and then they come back to England and get with some fucking guy and start asking for presents from him and talking about how they deserve a traditional relationship and they want to get married and they want a Christmas present and all this bullshit. Most women do exactly what Bonnie does. I don't see you any different than most women. And I'm not saying that in a degrading way.
Most women don't sleep with 1,057 men in a day.
1,000? Does it fucking matter?
I think
Tomato,
it does.
tomato.
I don't really think it does.
So
It's
there's
all
no-
disgusting to me. If I met a woman and she said, I just sucked a dick yesterday, I'd say, well, I find you repulsive. I don't want to sleep with you. Goodbye.
What, so you're only going after virgins?
Well, it's not about only going after virgins, but I think if you're a straight man, the idea of having a bunch of men fuck a woman that you're with is pretty repulsive.
But everyone
Yeah,
has a
that's true.
past.
But see,
When
this
you
is the
prefer
kind
your
of
girls
shit
to have
white people say.
experience.
I don't know what's wrong with you people. Everyone has a past. That's not acceptable.
Yeah, it's just so weird that that's the only time we're supposed to accept everybody has a past is when it's some hoe shit. That's the only time we accept the idea that everybody has a past, so you should just accept what somebody has done in the past. If you want to go get a loan, they're going to look at your past. Any good investor, like when you're going into a relationship, that's the biggest investment a man could ever make. And any good investor is going to research their investment. And then to do that, you have to look at the past. The only time we say the past is the past, or you should accept somebody's past, is when it comes to men accepting some hoe shit. Even if a man was abusive in the past towards women, we would never tell a woman to just accept the guy's past.
In fact, let's analyze that. Everyone has a past. You're right. Everyone does have a past. It's true. But isn't the primary objective of a man to find a woman with as little past as possible? Would you
Yeah.
argue that's one of the precursors to finding a wife?
depends how-
Considering that wives were supposed to be virgins. This was the deal. The reason I'm proud of Bonnie, and I am genuinely proud of you, I like Bonnie. I like what she's doing. Because the deal was...
Are you not like contradicting yourself here?
In what way?
Well, you're proud of her sleeping with 1,057 guys, but women should be virgins.
No, I'm saying that the social contract, the construct of society that made family function was women were obedient virgins and they found a man who provided for them and they listened to that man.
Yeah.
Women have then said, we don't like the patriarchy. We're tired of being provided for. We're tired of being taken care of. We don't want to listen to anybody. We want to make our own decisions. That was women and feminism that ended the traditional family unit. And now women can make their own decisions. So I'm glad that Bonnie's making her own
And
decisions.
even just to extend that a little bit, the fact that society is just so freaked out, this is the natural conclusion. Like when you see single motherhood, when you see everybody being pro-abortion, all these different things, like all the STDs on the rise, all of these are different things that come from a freaked out society. People like Bonnie Blue, this comes from a freaked out society. It's the natural conclusion. Boys being exposed to porn at 11 years old, 10 years old now. These are all natural results of a freaked out society. So when you sign up for a freaked out society, this is the natural conclusion of what we have. And with the sexual revolution and feminism, the things that people cheer for, body autonomy, yes, this is going to be the natural conclusion of all those things.
Yeah,
I'm
because
not here to
people
tell you not to
say
do it.
I take women back 100 years. And I'm like, no, I'm the clear example of how to be empowered. I use my body. I do what I want, when I want. And this is the thing you've been banging on about for years. And when I get hate, like when I click on the comments of these women that are like, oh, you're taking us back 100 years. then in their bio it says stay-at-home mom of 2. I'm thinking, what the fuck was you rooting for?
That's
because
right.
you have just stayed
That's
at
right,
home.
Bonnie. See, this is the future. This is the future. This is fantastic. It's exactly what Western society's headed to. So why are we going to sit here and pretend this is not?
Yeah.
Why are we going to sit here and pretend that most women who go on girls' holidays aren't doing something similar to what Bonnie does just because it's not on camera? Why are we going to sit here and pretend that these men who walk around with their wives in the pub in England, and they're like, oh, my wife, yeah, everyone has a past. Oh, no, she's done the same shit. What's the difference? Who gives
the
a fuck?
scale?
Right?
The
We're either going
scale.
to care and accept that women are judged on their past and judged on their innocence and judged on their naivety and judged on these things like it used to be, or we're going to sit and say it doesn't matter, everyone has a past. Well, if everyone has a past, everyone has a past. Who gives a fuck? Does it really matter
So
anymore?
What would you do if it was your daughter, though?
But why are you asking impossible questions?
Well, it's not an impossible question.
Of course it is.
How?
It can't happen.
But anything can happen.
It's against the laws
Facts.
of physics.
It's not.
I mean, if your
It's
daughter opened her
not.
legs and took 1,000 dicks, it's not impossible.
Of course it is.
Oh, it's impossible.
What? I
Why
mean,
is
the
it
dicks would
impossible?
enter her pussy, therefore she's taken.
It's literally impossible for my daughter.
What, are you going to
Facts.
be there against your daughter's pussy saying that dick's not entering it?
No, my daughter just wouldn't make that decision
But why?
because
Because she's my daughter. It's that simple. Because she's been led by the guidance of her father. Okay? Because I taught her better. She's seen me operate my life in a way that makes her want to live up to a certain standard that I've presented to her through a reflection of my own life. I'm going to lead as the example. I'm not just going to make a bunch of that's why it's my daughter. There's no way. That's crazy.
still
I
raise
agree
her
with
in a
him.
household
I agree
where
with him so
she
far.
is masculinely guided, and she will be guided by me until I hand her over to some other man. However, I believe when women are left to their own devices, they will only ever make stupid decisions. I think that most women, to some degree, are sex workers anyway. Like,
mean, yeah.
let's be honest about it, right?
No,
most
know about
women
that.
look at Miami or Dubai. What's your job? Oh, I've got a boyfriend. So your job is being a
Yeah,
girlfriend.
I think you're surrounded by the wrong women, brother. I don't know about that. And I don't think that being in a relationship makes you a sex worker as a woman. I think if you have an invested interest in the results of your relationship, that's the difference between a sex worker and a woman that chooses to be in a relationship. The woman has an invested interest, and when you have a good woman, she will have an invested interest into the relationship and the results of the relationship.
Why does he give you money? Because you give him sex. So most women are sex workers anyway, to be
No,
honest.
no,
But isn't
I
that
don't
what you
agree
said
with
the
that.
family unit was?
Well, then you're a sex worker with one customer. You know, which is nice. I guess it's better. It's more efficient.
But what about if you're raising children? That's not sex work, is it?
No, that's being a mother.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
different.
so that's interesting, Rob. Rob said this, not me. So they're either virgins, sex workers, or mothers. Are those the three
I
categories?
think you're putting words into my
I
mouth.
think that's what Rob just said.
I'm
Those
just-
are the three categories.
I'm just sat in the middle.
And women have to choose to be one of them.
So is that what you think?
I think that when a woman becomes a mother, she has a purpose. And I think that women should be having children as soon as possible.
You don't say. So women have like all of the things in their bodies to create consciousness in 9 months, and that's something that would be fulfilling for them? You don't say. Like their bodies are literally designed to do that. That's like somebody having legs and me saying you should never use your legs. Like that's literally what your body is designed to do. You don't think you're going to find a sense of fulfillment from creating consciousness in 9 months? The only thing in the universe, a man and a woman's relationship that create consciousness, and women just foster that within their stomachs, and you don't think that that would be a fulfilling pursuit? You think that being a manager at Burger King, because that's most of the jobs that women have. They're not like these top big wig CEOs doing all these important things. Most of the women are just working at the DMV, right? So if you think that that's going to be a more fulfilling pursuit for your life, you're insane. That's crazy.
And I think it gives
I
their
agree.
life a direction.
Being a
and I think
mother
it's
is
the
like
most
such a
important thing
virtuous
to
thing
preserve
to do.
society, especially if you want to talk about geopolitics and talk about race and all of these things. If you want to have a country that looks like the country it used to be, you need to have the original people from there having children. I think all of that is true. Absolutely. I think every day a woman goes without having kids is primarily a waste of time. But once again, what does it matter what I think? Rob, I've given up. Rob, I've given up trying to save the world. I've
You
given
have-
up.
no,
No,
you
no,
haven't.
Rob. I've
No,
given
you
up.
haven't.
I've given up on misogyny and all this
No,
shit.
you haven't.
They attacked me with the Matrix. They keep throwing me in jail. I am now all for women empowerment. I think women should run around fucking as many men as they want. I like what Bonnie's doing. She's getting the bag. She's getting rich. Most girls out here don't want to have kids. They just want to get Birkin bags and Instagram likes. Good. I'm a feminist, a pro-feminism. This is the world now. How the world's going to end up, who gives a fuck? Who cares about the future? Doesn't matter.
See, women go around, use sex to their advantage, but then are happy to cry about it straight away, saying, oh, he took advantage of me. And it's like, you're the one that wanted to do sex to have like the job promotion, or you're the one that wanted to have sex to get more attention or try and be more liked, but then they cry about it. And that's what I get frustrated about. And even with porn stars, like people in my industry, they'll do this for a few years, get the money, get the boob
and
jobs,
then start
get the house.
talking about and then they become Martin Luther King. Next thing you know, they think they Rosa Parks and they're trying to start a movement because the industry is predatory towards women.
And they go, oh my God, I was forced into the industry. Oh my God, someone took all my money.
Have you ever considered a job as a lawyer? Because I could do with you. You're 100% right.
Yeah, like it's.
So this is the false dichotomy of society, right? So this is the reason when I said I like what Bonnie does, because Bonnie completely 100% owns what she does. And she says, it's my decision. And I've seen people try and lecture you. I've seen people sit there and try and lecture you and say like, oh, but you're a creature of God and you shouldn't be doing this. No, you should do whatever the fuck you want.
Exactly.
It's up to you to
That's
do whatever
what society
you want.
says.
And you're not saying
I didn't make those rules, but that's what society says. And people like this is the end result of doing whatever you want.
You into it. It's your decision. And let's be honest, when they talk about taking women back 100 years, let's actually be very honest here, Rob. No disrespect.
No disrespect.
There's always been whores.
It's the oldest profession.
Ancient Rome had whores. There's always been whores. The Aztecs had whores. You think there weren't concubines in the fucking Ming dynasty sucking little Chinese pee-pee? Of course there were. There's always been whores. It's the oldest profession.
The biggest problem now is that more women can see it, and so now they're starting to compete against them on social media for attention. That's the biggest problem now. Women are competing with these types of women that are willing to do anything to get what they have. And the women that see them on social media don't understand that these are the types of women that are willing to do anything to get what they have. Because the women on social media lie about it. They don't tell the truth about what they actually do to get the money that they have. Because if they were to say that they were just sex workers or pretty much escorts for rich men, it would take away some of the allure and some of the thing that brings women into thinking that what they do is cool. If they knew that they was selling it, it wouldn't be as cool for them to be on the flights and the jets. They always showing you all the highlights, but they don't show you the full game. They don't show you the white dude that's behind them waiting for their turn when they showing the meal, right? Or when they showing the trip. And so a lot of ladies will go on social media and think that this is what they should do in order to get that type of lifestyle, trying to compete with these women that are willing to do anything to get that lifestyle. And it's a net negative, I think.
The world.
Exactly.
So do you think it's a legitimate job?
Well, I mean, no, check her bank. I'm sure she's making fucking loads of money. So here's where do you draw the line? If we're going to live in this false dichotomy, because the world was very simple once, not too long ago. And men had this terrible misogynistic view, which I, of course, don't agree with, that women can't make their own decisions because they're naturally chaotic. And when women decide anything, life's fucked up. In fact, these men in their disgusting, these men in their disgusting misogyny believed if you gave women the vote, we'd end up with open borders and drag queen story hours. So they didn't give women the vote. Then they did give women the vote, and society took a particular direction. But when men were in charge of things, women didn't have to worry about what they can do with their life because their father took care of it, and then their husband took care of it.
Yeah, the suffragettes, there were actually more anti-suffragettes, which was like the women's right to vote. The suffragettes were for the women's right to vote. The anti-suffragettes were against the women's right to vote. And the anti-suffragettes, in their propaganda, if you look at it, they were talking about the future, and they were saying that women would be used as political pawns, and their fear would be the instrument that the politicians would use to get them to vote in the direction they wanted them to vote. And I think that's a great display of what's happening in the Democratic Party now. It's all built on the fear that there's going to be some fascist leader, and I'm not trying to get too political, but it's all built on that fear.
The path she's chosen, I don't think is any different than most paths women take. I think she's just more honest about it and more upfront about it. If you're going to go to Dubai and meet a girlfriend and you think she hasn't been fucking for money the entire time she was living in Dubai, then you're an idiot. If you're in Miami and you got girls on your boat and you think they're not fucking for money all of the time, now they may not say per hour, but they'll be fucking a guy they barely like to get the rent paid.
Right.
Or they're fucking a guy they barely like because he has a car.
Right.
Yeah.
So women are fucking for money all the time anyway. That's all women do now.
Yeah, he's talking about Dubai and Miami. Stay out of those areas.
The entire Western world is women fucking for money. So
I do agree it's on the rise, though. What he's talking about is definitely on the rise and is happening more than ever, 110%. But he's talking about the hot spot zones for that type of behavior, where, to be honest, the men even go to seek out those types of women. That's why the men are in those places, to be fair. So it's just like, the guys with money are there for the women who only want money. And I'm like, those are the perfect two people for each other. Go ruin each other's lives over there in Miami and Dubai and leave the rest of us alone. But I do think this is even on the rise for normal people, for regular, everyday girls and women.
How hypocritical would it be for me to sit here and say, Bonnie, who is honest, who monetizes it directly with her own media empire, who's upfront about it and makes money from it, is a worse person than the girl who walks around like she's goody two-shoes and then sucks dick in a Magaluf toilet? Because that's what most girls are doing anyway. Rob, the world's fucked. They're all like this. Rob, they're all the same.
Are you trying to say I'm not special now?
No, I'm saying you're special, actually, because you've gone so far through. You've come out as the queen of it. Congratulations.
But didn't you say this kind of thing is the demise of Western society?
I mean, if I was a misogynist, I would believe this is the final end result of feminism, and the end times are here, and that nobody's going to have kids anymore, and that the idea of a beautiful marriage between a man and a woman is now completely gone.
Yep.
I mean, if I was a disgusting misogynist, but since they keep raising...
But you don't have one beautiful marriage, do you?
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Have you slept with 1,057 women?
At least.
So are you quite similar?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because it's the male's prerogative to impregnate as many females as possible.
And this is the spot where people are going to be against them, because everybody's doing this whole men and women are the same thing. And I don't promote any of this stuff. I don't think that it's necessarily good, but there's definitely a difference from a man being promiscuous and a woman being promiscuous. It's always been that way throughout history. Socially is looked at differently. The problem that I do have, though, and the reason why I don't promote that type of lifestyle for any men, especially men who have power, is because there are literal stone tablets that tell men that they will lose their power from dealing with promiscuous women and being overly promiscuous. That's been the downfall of great men for forever, to the point where in every religious holy text, there are stories of men, powerful men, being losing their power because they're dealing with certain women. So he's telling the story, and it's true what he's saying. There have always been men in the past that have been powerful, that have had access to multiple women, but there's also been warning signs and literal stone tablets telling men that that's not how they should behave, because that's going to be their ultimate demise.
The masculine prerogative. This is biologically my prerogative is to do that.
I think we should do a breeding competition. We'll see if you can get a girl pregnant quicker than I can get pregnant.
Well, I mean, that'd be a good competition. I think I'd win. I don't know. I'm not sure about that one, but it's interesting because it's interesting because you have to look at society. When you look at these things, you have to look at society from an animalistic perspective and a societal perspective. From the animalistic perspective, it is the masculine imperative to get as many women as possible pregnant.
Yeah, but
if you want to be purely
it's
animalistic,
not 1,512.
No, but let's be purely animalistic. Let's talk about this like professionals. If a man is high value, high testosterone, alpha male, whatever you want to call him, right? His imperative is to impregnate women. And he wants to take care of those women and take care of those kids. He's not overly interested in the kids. It doesn't mean he doesn't love them. It means he doesn't want to sit there and play with them all day. When you see a man who wants to play with a baby all day, that man is probably gay. It's fucking boring.
Well, it doesn't mean he wants to fuck the kid.
No, he's gay. He's gay. So real men just want to pregnant, money, cool. See you an hour a week. Boom, boom, boom. There's a lot of men who are going to disagree with me on that.
I don't know
Those
about
are a lot of
that,
men I can beat the shit out of, so I don't give a fuck. That's the truth of it. The female imperative is to find a man who's obsessed with her so that when she gets pregnant, she's going to have protection and provision.
I think what he's talking about right now is the small minority of very powerful men who have had the ability to sleep with multiple women. It's always existed throughout history. These guys who spend their entire lives just chasing money, or they spend their entire lives chasing success or building a legacy or whatever it may be, and they're not very involved with their children's lives. I think that most men actually do want to be involved with their children's lives. I think we do work, of course, to provide a life for our family, and we spend that time away, if necessary, from our kids. But most men do want to be at football games. Most men do want to be able to be involved with their sons. I think he's talking about men who prioritize their level of success and money over spending time with their kids. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. We need people like that. Like Elon Musk, I need him building rockets. And I know everybody has their thing. Again, I'm not trying to be political here, but I'm just saying there are people who do things at a level that I can't operate that need to be doing those things to push humanity forward. And those men who have risen to a certain level doing what they're doing have a pursuit towards what they're doing that I can't relate to, and they value building that legacy over being involved in everyday life with their kids. And I do think that that is a specific type of archetype of guy.
When she's not capable of looking after herself. That is the female biological imperative and the masculine biological imperative. I'm still living to my biological imperative to some degree. If I were to, let's say, have 4 or 5 women and I had kids with 4 or 5 women and I took care of 4 or 5 women and I was with all of them and they were exclusively only with me and we had children over and over and over again, that's my biological imperative. It's actually against the female biological imperative to do what Bonnie is doing, I would argue, traditionally. But that means you break paradigms. That's great. But feminism and society and this brand new societal conditioning is convincing women that what they're supposed to do, which is find a man they love and be obsessed with him and get pregnant from him, is the wrong thing to do. Well, then let's all just become sex workers now.
But you disagree with that feminist program.
I don't have an opinion, Rob, because I have 14 criminal cases. I don't have an opinion. I'm just here. I'm a commentator. I'm just commentating.
Commentators have opinions.
I don't have an opinion. No, I don't have an opinion. Women can do whatever they want. Women are fantastic. We live in this great society now where women are girl bosses and better than us, while also are equals at everything, while also everything they do they regret was a man's fault somehow, as Bonnie described. They were tricked into it. So we live in this impossible situation where a man can't possibly win anyway, no matter what opinion he has. But I'm just saying it would be unprofessional and hypocritical of me to sit here and think that Bonnie is doing anything different or anything bad or anything wrong when she does the same thing 99.9% of Western women do anyway.
Okay, so Bonnie...
You get one extreme to the next. You get the women like me that are just sluts, and then you get the others that are lazy and won't even get on their knees and give a blowjob.
And they're sluts too. No, but this is the thing. They're sluts too. They're just sluts for a different guy, or they were sluts for their ex, and they're not sluts for the new guy. These women are sluts too. It's all the same.
Like I used to be a full service sex worker, like an escort, and I used to judge men that cheated. And then when I actually started speaking to these men, I was like, you know what? They've got a point. They're going to work. They're looking after their kids. They're still emptying the dishes because the wife's now refusing to do that, saying it should be equal.
Yep.
And then I say, well, when's the last time she gave you a blowjob?
And that's where guys get scammed.
Fucked you?
And that's exactly where guys get scammed. They go out and they do all the work. They provide for their family. And then the woman goes out and does work, but she doesn't provide any money to the family. So what are you going to work for? It's to build a nest egg for yourself. Now, if you're a woman, you're going to work to provide for your family or to help put your money towards something, that makes sense. But if you're a man and you're paying all of the bills and her money is just her money and your money is our money, then if you're paying a majority of the bills, she's supposed to be doing majority of the domestic labor. And I just seen a new article by MSNBC that was 2025. It says that men are now doing more domestic labor than women. Women are going to work. They're coming back home tired and refusing to do things and saying we want to split it equal, but they don't want to split the bills equal. So then you just have this like indentured servitude situation for a lot of guys that are in relationships that's imbalanced.
They couldn't name it. They couldn't even list the amount of times where they've had sexual intercourse. I'm like,
that's crazy. Yeah.
You're going to need that. Of course you're going to cheat. How can I ever say women are anything but lazy and poorly educated?
So do you think you're a good role model for women?
I'm a clear example of what women are for.
She's a good role model for hoes. Not women, specifically hoes. Because we even now in today's time, we have an issue. We have bad hoes, bro. We have bad prostitutes. All these women that sleeping with these dudes for money, like the Shannon Sharp situation, and then you trying to double dip because you're trying to say that this man sexually assaulted you. How you going to be a bad hoe? To the point where now you trying to double dip and out your customers. Hoes are outing their customers. At least if you're gonna choose to do that, at least be good at it. Like that's insane to me.
For years of
what?
Taking control of your body.
Correct.
Being independent. I earn my own money. I don't rely on a guy. I'm
Girl
paid
power.
Exactly. I'm paid more than other guys.
100%.
Do you think
she is a clear example of what women have been fighting for years? Absolutely correct.
And now
I'm not going to sit here and lecture you about God. I'm not going to sit here and no, that's all bullshit. She is a clear example of what women have been fighting for years.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Women believe that they can do whatever they want.
Do you think they should be able to?
Listen, brother, I have 14 criminal cases. I don't want to be called a misogynist by the BBC. That would break my heart. That's not up to me. We're all individual sovereign people and we make our own decisions. If women want to run around and do whatever they want to do, it's up to them. My point is, all women on some scale are doing what Bonnie Blue is doing. However, Bonnie Blue's just the best at it. She's the best. She's the queen of it. So why? It's
not all women are doing.
Let me ask you a question. If a man walks into Starbucks and steals a chocolate bar, he's a thief. Yeah, correct.
Not in London.
Well,
it's legal.
Yeah. And if a banker manages to liquidate a ton of stock illegally in the stock market or rip off a bunch of people with a false investment fund, whatever it is, he's a thief, right? The morality is the same, whether you're stealing from the Wall Street or you're stealing from Starbucks. The morality of it is the same. But people will sit there and argue that the banker is somehow worse than the guy who stole the chocolate bar because of how much he stole. I wouldn't argue there's a difference in morality. There's a difference in capability. But the morality is the same. The banker's just smarter.
I'm just a clever slut.
You're just very good. Yeah. She is very good at what she's decided to do. If you're going to be a whore, and most women watching this, and most men, hello, your wife, yeah, her, they're all whores anyway. If you're going to be a whore.
Oh, he's going crazy.
You may as well be fucking good at it. Get a media empire, get rich, let everyone know your name, and get paid. Why are you going out to the pub, getting drunk, and meeting a man who's funny, and getting fucked in a toilet for free? Are you dumb?
They are, though. Women are stupid.
They're stupid. So Bonnie's just the smartest. She's the Wall Street banker of this whole shit. I respect that much more than these other girls. Rob, I grew up in Luton, England, bruv. You think I don't know hoes? You think I haven't seen it? You think I haven't walked in the toilet and some bitch has got 5 dudes hanging out of her? This is the Western world. This is feminism. This is what all you white boys wanted. All you white men listening to women all the time. Women get to opinions all of a sudden. This is what you built. Congratulations.
So you blame men?
Well, 100%.
Of course,
yeah. Everything's men's fault because men are the only ones who can apply force to scenarios. Women can't apply force. Men apply force. If there's something we don't like, we apply force to the situation. We could force this away. We could force most things away. So everything's absolutely men's fault. And this came from, I mean, the feminism and the women's sexualization and the liberation, a lot of it came from beta males hoping to get some pussy. That's what it came from.
Yeah.
Bunch of weak men, though. If we told girls to be hoes, I might get a little bit. Because the natural order of the universe is the big gorilla.
Well, it actually came from wealthy corporations. Like, a lot of the feminist movement wasn't grassroots, and they were outnumbered by the anti-suffragettes by far. But what they did was there were a bunch of rich capitalists that wanted to push women into the workforce to boost GDP. And they've successfully done that. They wanted to take the women out of the family in order to stagnate wages so they didn't have to pay people as much because there are more workers, and they wanted to increase GDP. And they've successfully done that. Feminism is really just corporatism and capitalism with man-hating. That's really all it is.
Top G. Smart. I'm so fucking smart. The big gorilla, Top G, has a bunch of women, and then the small gorilla has nothing. This is the natural order of the universe. It's actually kind of still like that in many ways. There's a guy with the yacht with 10 wives, and then there's a guy with no yacht with no wife. It's kind of like that. But beta males didn't like that because they couldn't obviously compete with the top guy. So they've tried to push this sexual liberation, hoping to get a little bit of pussy, and it probably works a little bit. But society is destroyed by extension. If you want to look at society for what it is, because what is society anything other than rearing and raising children? That's what society should be, I would argue. Society should be, the primary function of it should be, let's have kids so that we have a population.
And a balanced
environment. We have a population collapse in the West.
Yeah, I think they should have a choice. I before used to think, oh my God, I really want kids, I want a family. But it's because I was so naive to what else was open to the world. I just thought, okay, I need to get married. I need to, have children. I need to get a good job. And that was what I thought life was. And then I was like, fuck, there's so much more to life rather than just staying in that, finishing school, going to uni, getting married, buying a house. And you just copy everyone else. Like, half the shit we do is because someone else has done it.
Okay, Bonnie, so let me ask you a question. I agree with you.
Yeah, she's saying the absolute opposite, in my opinion. She's saying the opposite of what he's saying.
Now that we've opened up female horizons with education, with jobs, with the capability of making money, with Instagram.
There's nothing a woman can do on this planet that's more important and more virtuous and more fulfilling probably than having kids.
And all these offers they get to fly around the world and all these things. Women don't want to have kids, or they want to have kids later because they have a lot more options. I agree with you. But would you argue, if you were to look at it selflessly, not about the ant, but about the ant farm at large, that keeping women's horizons more narrow so they focused on rearing children would be better for society than the current society we're in, where we have to import a whole bunch of fuck knows who's into the country to try and maintain a population because the white people aren't even having any fucking kids because the white women are too busy sucking dicks in Magaluf.
Did you understand that?
To a certain degree, but I also couldn't give a shit. The world's going to shit anyway.
You don't
so whether
care.
or not we've got more kids in it or not, it's fucked regardless. So just live your life the best. You're going to be dead in however many years anyway.
Fair.
So don't stress too much.
Fair. And this is what I like about
But that's the individualist mentality. But if you cared about society, it doesn't matter how good or what you're pursuing as important if the society doesn't exist because you're not having enough children to replace the people in the society. Nothing that you're doing is going to be important. And that's why I think that rearing children, having balanced families in order to make sure that those children come up in stable households is the most important thing a society can do. Because it doesn't matter how virtuous you want your society to be if it doesn't exist because there is no future, because there is no children, it doesn't matter.
Bloody Blue is my favorite. This is my favorite everything. Fair. Because what you just said, I understand and I agree with.
But it's selfish.
Yeah.
But what have I
But
said?
why should I not be selfish? Why should I give a shit about
Exactly.
someone else that pays less tax than me?
That's the problem.
You know, sits and complains, makes shitty TikToks about me. Like, I couldn't.
And that's why it's all based on being selfish. The whole movement, self-love, my journey, blah blah bloop, all these spiritual words that don't really mean anything other than just going and being a hoe. When you go on a journey, you're not backpacking the Appalachian Mountains. You're doing hoe stuff. That's what my journey is talking about. But yeah, it's all about being selfish. And the issue with being selfish and self-love and all these other things that people promote in terms of loving yourself is love in and of itself is self-sacrifice. That's what love is. You sacrifice for things you love. If I want to get bigger, if I love the weight room, if I love the sport that I play, I sacrifice my time in order to get better at that sport. If I love something, you sacrifice for it. So the whole self-love, all that other stuff that came after the feminist movement and all that other worship of self and individualism, it's all just selfish.
Shit, if your life's going shit, by the looks of it, you live in a council house, you've got a couple of kids with different dads. I don't care. So why should I sit there and think, fuck, I should do something to help you? I don't care. I should focus on myself. And if more people did that, the world would actually be a better place. But they've become so fixated on other people. I'm like, where's your life? Why are you not focusing on yourself? Like, look in the mirror, you're fat, go and do something about it. Your teeth have that much plaque on it. Like, you're fucked. Like, there's no way out for you.
No, but what
Is this a good role model?
No, yes, because no, but what
No,
Bonnie,
yes.
no, what Bonnie's saying is important here, and it's not about what she's saying. It's about the general attitude.
Exactly.
Because what I want to make clear, the reason society was
materialistic,
run by men for
individualistic
so long
society
is that men have a different biological instinct to women, and we're prepared to suffer for the greater good. Women are not very good at suffering. Men are good sufferers.
Look back at the wars. There's so much evidence of it.
Well, of course. And also, let's just look at the normal family. You talked about these men who come and see you, right?
Yeah.
But happy wife, happy life is true. And the reason it's true is because if the wife is unhappy, everyone's miserable because she'll make sure of it. But if the man's unhappy, everyone else can be happy.
Yep.
He'll suffer. He'll sit with no sex. He'll go to work every day.
Yep.
He won't see his friends.
Yep.
He'll be miserable. He'll be depressed. He'll still pay the bills. He'll still pay the taxes. And everyone else gets to be happy. Men are good at suffering. Women are spiteful sufferers. And for that reason, they struggle to do anything. They struggle to suffer themselves for any greater good. Men have always died for a greater good. Men have always said, this is bad for me, but it's good for society. Bonnie just quite correctly, quite pertinently highlighted the fact that she believes in living her life the best way that she wants to live so she is happy. And I agree with you. That's what you should do. That's fine. Because you're a woman. That's how women think. Women don't think I shouldn't do this because I care about society by and large. Women don't think that way. And once you understand that logic, you can extrapolate that out.
I would say that men tend to think more that way when they have an investment into society, and a family is an investment into society. And so when you see men not having families, it's bad for society because men go and fight and die in wars for society. Like, they're like, men aren't joining the workforce anymore. Why would men take on the responsibility of doing the hard, dangerous, dirty jobs that keep society running when they don't have an investment into it via family? Men did hard things and cared about their communities because of family. So with the lack of family in the country now, you're going to have more men that have a lack of investment into society. So when the war starts, there's going to be less men that are willing to go die in it. Because that's just how men think. Men will choose freedom over responsibility unless they have people that they love that they need to become responsible for. And that's the part of the why men should have families in society. It's part of their investment. Also believe that there's a necessity for property and ownership in society too, to have pride in it. And I think that more men have when they have ownership in their society or a home or something they could call their own, they're more likely to also be invested into society too. But family is a huge one.
The fact that women shouldn't be in charge of a country ever. Because women are not prepared to take a bullet for a country, ever.
I mean, I guess I contradict myself a little bit because I help society out a lot. And I do that because do you see how many dicks I drain? How many balls I've been emptied out on my face?
Come on,
How
man.
many cream pies I've taken and scooped it out? Like,
And how does that help society?
sex workers help, like, reduce rape rates by over 30%.
That sounds like a stat you just made up.
No, Google it.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Probably
mental
made
health,
up.
it's good for mental health
Probably
as well.
made
Stops
up.
True
men
fact, it's
killing themselves.
32%.
Yeah, stops men killing themselves. Sex work is an important part of the world.
So imagine, like, if you're
Are
a
you saying that because
rapist.
you had a webcam business.
I'm not saying that because I'm in the webcam business. I'm saying that because it's absolutely and utterly true. The only point I was making earlier about women being in charge, I was actually trying to get to a final point. And the final point I would argue is that Bonnie has done no damage to society compared to giving the women the vote.
I've basically been a community worker.
Absolutely.
For example,
do you vote?
Not to be honest, I don't really know what's going on.
Okay, so do you vote?
No.
Okay, she's perfect. she's out here. She's sucking dick.
I am wife material.
She's sucking dick. She's not
I wouldn't
voting.
say that.
This is the kind of women we need.
I wouldn't say wife material.
This is fine. If we stop women, we take the women's vote away. If you said to me, Andrew, fix society, all the women can either vote or be like Bonnie. I'd be like, make them all like Bonnie, give the men the vote back. We'll fix all that.
No, to fix society, all you'd have to do is give people the equality that they say they want. If we're not going 50-50 during the marriage on the bills, we're not going 50-50 in divorce. Stop incentivizing half of the population to drop out of their marriages and still give them everything that they want, even though they don't have a valid reason for the divorce. I think that would help fix society, and that would be equal. Make it so that women have to register for the draft to vote. You don't get a say in the direction that the country goes and get to vote for certain policies that might send men to war if you're not willing to fight in the wars also. In an equal society, if you promote for abortion and women can opt out of parenthood via abortion or giving their kids up for adoption, then men should be able to opt out of parenthood via signing some paperwork to say, I don't want to be financially responsible for this kid ever. When it comes to requirements to be in the military, police officers, security, or firefighters, then you can't lower the standards for women because that's not an equal society. These are the rules from the people who say that this is all about equality and an equal society. Get rid of women's only gyms, get rid of ladies' nights. Matter of fact, get rid of the entire WNBA, because why is there a specific league only for women? That is by definition sexist. Make it so it's only one league and only the best players play, and watch the WNBA disappear. If society was actually made equal, then you would see a lot of these issues start to disappear. But this whole idea that women are strong and independent and they can do anything a man can do, yet women are also perpetual victims of the evil, diabolical patriarchy, it just doesn't work. And it's actually not about equality. Make it actually about equality, and you see a lot of differences.
Well, yeah, why would she need to vote? I'm voting. Why would she need to vote when I'm voting? You're going to vote against your father. What kind of world is that? You know, it's really interesting to me. Since I had daughters, and I have a bunch, people always said, when you get a daughter, you're going to change your opinions. No, I fucking didn't. When you have a daughter, you know, you see these dudes and they have a daughter and like the daughter's putting makeup on and they're like, girl dad. Just because you have a girl doesn't mean you become gay.
I think that's cute though.
She's never going to put makeup on my face. I'm never going to be like, oh, my daughter wants, so I guess I just
you sound like a farmer.
She melts my heart. No, you're going to obey me because I am your parent and you are my child.
Well, you're gonna show her how a man loves a woman, and a man loves a woman through having boundaries and standards. You're going to tell her not to wear that when she goes out, so when she finds the man that she loves and he tells her not to wear that when she goes out, she doesn't go, oh, you're just oppressing me. She understands a man's love. You're going to show her how a man operates and the standards that a man is supposed to uphold. And I think that she'll then go out into the world and seek out those things in a man because you've shown her that. Becoming soft and becoming docile and doing whatever she wants just because she's your daughter doesn't teach her what to find in a man. You have to be the thing that you want her to find in a man. And I think that implementing masculine discipline allows her to understand what masculine discipline and love is. And a lot of times it comes with restrictions. And because the first step of protection is prevention. And so just like the dad tells you not to wear that when you go out because it's preventing a certain attitude and a behavior that men might pursue you with, your boyfriend is going to tell you to do the same thing. Because, again, the first step of protection is prevention, and men inherently understand that.
My child can't vote against me ever. That's civil war. That's against the rules that's against the just working of the universe, sir. For me to have a certain opinion and my own offspring to have countering opinion. Then I'm going to be sitting at some fucking dinner table in 20 years. And my daughter or my sons, any of them, are going to be there arguing with me about anything. Actually, in school, I learned, you better shut the fuck up. Because you're in my fucking house. It's my mansion. It's the Tate millions. You're living on my money. You're going to do as I fucking say.
Until they're 18 or they move out?
If they want to completely cut me off and build their own version of life, I guess they could do that, but they won't do that. That's impossible.
It's how you bring them up. Like when they're 18, yes, they're an adult, but it's how you've brought them up.
Of course.
Exactly.
Like my parents brought me up.
Do you have kids though?
No, I don't.
No.
But like my parents, I mean, everyone says my parents can't love me. My family must have disowned me. It's not the case. My family brought me up to be independent and live my best life, how I want to live. And as much as people think that is so shameful, that's disgusting. Like my life's become so much better and I'm happy. As much as people think I should be scarred, I could kill myself and everything else, it's like, I am happy. He lives a much better life. So my family are nothing but proud of me. So
Are you really happy?
Really, really happy. Happy and wet
when you're
most of the
alone,
time.
you're happy.
She's not voting. She's great. This is what we need. Do you want to be prime minister or not really?
No.
See, done, bro. This is it. This is what we need in society. Honest about their sex work, because all women out here are sex working anyway. When's the last? You've been in Dubai recently.
Yeah.
Find a woman who ain't sex working. That is a challenge, sir. $1 million to find a woman who ain't living off a man, because that is sex work. You giving sex and she's giving you money. That's the game. I tweeted
It's actually
this.
so true. I've never thought of it like that.
I
Like,
tweeted
when
this.
people are boyfriend and girlfriends, the
It's
majority
sex
of
work.
the time
No,
they do
no,
a
it's
low-paid
not.
job. They've not got the education to do anything better. So, and they're having sex with the partners, keep them interested. The partner's paying the bills. It's a sex work with one client. just like you said.
100%.
No, it's not.
I said this. I tweeted it, and the whole world lost its mind because you know me. I'm a provocateur. But I said, yeah, women are sex workers. You can either have a bunch of customers with OnlyFans, or you can have one customer called a husband or boyfriend. Or you can be ugly, and unfortunately, then you got to get a job. But if you're pretty enough, you don't do that. You find a boyfriend or a husband or a sugar daddy, whatever you want to call him, and he's paying your bills. Go to Saint-Tropez, Monaco, Cannes, go to Miami, go to Dubai, go to Hong Kong, go to any of these cities and find a beautiful woman and ask her job. She either doesn't work because her boyfriend takes care of her, or she has some bullshit vanity project which loses money that her husband pays for. Owns a flower shop that loses money each month. Correct. Businesswoman, independent. Bullshit. Women are only ever been sex workers. Women have only ever translated their pussy into money, or pussy into provision, or pussy into protection. That's all women have ever done. Let's talk about the ancient days. When the ancient whoever's, the tribe, got conquered by another tribe. You're sitting around, there's 100 men, there's 100 women, the 100 men go out to war, they lose, the conquering tribe comes and takes over the ground, takes over the women. What do the women do? Here's some pussy, don't kill me. Please.
All right, that's
not
funny. That's
1500
funny.
anymore.
No, but
That's
it
funny.
doesn't matter. That's what they've all, that's all they've
That's
ever done.
hilarious.
And I'm telling
I
you
disagree,
now,
but that's
you know, you
hilarious.
watch Hunger Games and there's fucking Katniss Evergreen running around with her bullshit fucking bow and arrow. When World War III finally comes, you're just going to see a whole bunch of women hooking. That's all they're going to do. They're like, shit, World War III, I need money. I need a man who can protect me. Here's some pussy. Anyone? That's
Oh,
what they're gonna do.
I would have fucked Hitler to survive.
Oh, damn, of course. Women will fuck anyone to survive.
Okay,
Look
Bonnie.
at France in World War
Blue.
II. You hear about the war brides? They all had their heads shaved. You don't know about this? Oh, you didn't know. I'll tell you. The Nazis kicked the fuck out of all the French. Then the Nazi soldiers turn up to Paris. Nazi soldiers have money. Average French man, he either lost in war, lost a leg, and has no money. He's a brokey. The Nazi guy, he's got money. He's got the German Deutschmark. He's got a nice uniform. He's a winner. All the French women were fucking the Nazis. They killed their husband. They're fucking the next guy a year later. Why? Because he can provide, he can protect. They give him status. They get to go out and party. They all had their heads shaved afterwards once the Americans kicked the Germans out of France.
I would have been bold straight away.
Well, there you go. This is what women do. Women say, okay, let me look at the world. I'm not as strong as a man. I'm not as determined as a man. I'm not as intelligent as a man. I can't do any of these things men can do. What's the one differentiator I have? Pussy. So let me turn my pussy into what I want. That's not a bad thing. That's just understanding the world,
Yeah.
right?
Do you think this is a positive message for society?
I'm not here giving any messages. I am a commentator, sir.
I'd say if anything, it's factual.
commentator
I'm a
give messages.
commentator, sir. I see I'm not playing football. I'm commentating on the game. That's all I'm doing.
And people are listening to you.
Well, they're listening to me commentate. I'm telling everyone how it works.
Everything we've said you'd learn in history at school.
Yeah, but
Everything we're
the
saying
issue
is
is
factual.
like when people give commentary on these type of subjects, because everybody's so sensitive to it, everybody immediately equates it to how it should be. So like when you say something of how it is, everybody thinks that you mean that that's how it should be, when really you're just kind of giving the news on how it actually is. So yeah, they always equate it to you believing that's how it should be. And he's not saying that's how it should be. He's just saying from his observations, that's how the world seems to work. Never said it should be that way. Just saying that's just how it is.
It's not. We're not
what
just
would you
saying.
learn in history at school about?
Well, I didn't really
sleeping
listen too
with
much at
people?
school, but yeah, I learned at school that people had their head shaved.
Yeah.
Like you learn about what happened at the
course.
war, and that happened. That's factual. You didn't ever learn at school. Oh, the women went to war. No, of course they didn't. They stayed at home.
Never do-
They
yeah,
cooked. They had the house ready. Like
So-
it stayed the same. Everything we're saying is factual.
Yeah, like Rob, what have I said that's incorrect? And the reason I'm saying all these things is to highlight how it's awfully hypocritical for anybody in modern Western society, anybody who believes in women's liberation, anyone who believes women should be allowed to vote, anyone who believes in women are allowed to lead a country, anyone who listens to their wife's stupid opinions on anything, to give Bonnie a second of hard time. Because it's all the same thought pattern. It's all the same thought process. If you're a man who says, I have a wife and we got married when she was a virgin and she doesn't vote and she obeys me absolutely and I'm the king of this household, then maybe you could have an opinion. But if you're going to sit there and go, oh, my wife has a past, but I love her anyway, then fucking shut the fuck up. And that's 99% of men.
And that's why his message is never going to make it too far. And that's why he's always going to have a lot of pushback. Because not only are the women going to push back, but the men who have settled for the deal that we get are also going to push back because nobody wants to hear what he's saying. That's a hard thing to stomach and a hard thing to deal with. And because most men are in the predicament that he might be talking about, they're going to deny what he's saying is true. Regardless of if it is or not, I'm just saying that is how people are going to respond to it for sure.
Do you understand that about 3 times a week, I see a woman I've plowed get married on Instagram? Do you understand? I see it. I see the man walking down the aisle holding her hand, doing the whole humiliation ritual. I see the whole thing. He got on one knee. And I just watch it. I was like, bro, what the fuck?
But I don't think there's anything wrong with that, though.
No, but there is.
But why? Like,
because I know what happened that night.
But people
So
have
it is.
Well, aren't you under investigation for things like that?
Give a fuck. But the point is this. If that man's going to go, everyone has a past, then who is he to comment on anything else? Because her past was me, sir.
So are all of your girlfriends virgins before you?
Well, here's where you have to, as a man, do your best to find a woman, if you want to take her seriously, with as little history as possible, if that's the kind of thing that bothers you.
And does it bother you?
Well, it depends.
I mean, surely your best place to go then is high school.
Well, we have to be careful. I'm under investigation here. But it depends because there's different categories of women.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Everything in life is actually fine if you keep everything in the right place. If you use a fork for forking and a spoon for spooning, everything's fine. It only gets confusing when you try and mix the two up. All men love whores. Men love whores.
We've got good technique.
Of course. Any man who sits there and says...
Do you love whores then?
Any man who says he doesn't love whores is a fucking liar.
So you love whores?
Well, if I'm on a boat in Miami, I don't want
Would
nuns.
you prefer a blowjob with your teeth or the mouth? You need someone with experience.
Well, if you want girls who are just a good time, they're not going to be that emotionally invested. They're probably going to be sluts. If you're going to go to a party with 20 women, you want women who are just a good time. Good time women are hoes and men love hoes. But men want the dichotomy because we want our cake and eat it. We want a wife and we want hoes and we want both.
Mm.
It only gets confusing for a man when he puts them in the wrong category. What will happen is a man will meet a hoe, fall in love with her because he can't control himself, and then try and say, oh, no, she's wifey because he's in love with her because he's an idiot. But if you're me and you can sit and go, okay, that one's a good one. She's wifey. Those are the hoes. They're this. And you just keep everything in its right place. It's fine.
So Bonnie's a hoe.
I don't want to insult Bonnie Blue.
You can't insult me.
I mean, you called her a hoe when I last talked to you.
No, I said she was a whore. And
I said, what's the difference between a hoe and a whore?
Well, there is a big difference because whores get paid. And whores are actually a much higher social standing than a hoe because hoes are fucking dumb and they're doing it for free.
Yeah.
Whores make money. So I think she's
I didn't know that difference.
Well, now you do.
Now I do.
I always say people can call me a prostitute, slut, slag, whore, whatever. I don't care. Like, you just can't insult me. Like, I own it. Whatever word you want to call me. Whether you say
it's not even insulting. It's just a factual description.
Yeah.
It's a factual description.
If anything, it turns me on.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's why she's so good at her job.
By the time you finish calling me a whore, I'm going to leave this chair with a wet patch.
Well, there you go. That's why she's so good at her job. I have that effect anyway. But the point I'm making here is any man who sits and goes, oh, I hate whores, I hate hoes, that's all a fucking lie. There's scenarios in which they're very welcome and very liked. But there's scenarios in which they're not. So everyone has their standing in life. Everyone has their place in life.
Yeah.
Bonnie, even I would argue, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but you can correct me. Bonnie will have sex with one man, or have sex with a certain type of man, or have sex with whoever, but she'd marry a different type of man. To marry someone is different than having sex with someone. You wouldn't just marry anyone, would you? You'd have to kind of like him.
Yeah, for sure. It'd be completely different. Like, I generally have sex with anyone of legal age, but if I'm thinking of marriage, it's completely different.
Okay, so even in Bonnie's mind, there are people she treats a certain way and respects in a certain way, and there's people she has sex with without any emotional attachment. That's exactly how it is as a man. There's a woman you'll treat a certain way and have a certain amount of feeling for, and there's women you just fuck. That's it. So everything's actually fine. Men saying they hate whores and they hate all this, that's all a fucking lie. Men love whores in the right scenario. So you're asking me, my girlfriends. Well, I mean, it depends. If you catch me on a boat, if you catch me on my yacht with 25 women, are they all virgins? Fuck no. But do I have children from some virgins? Yes.
If you ever host a virgin party, count me in.
How would you get into a virgin party?
Well, no, but I'll be there to take the virginities. I'm obsessed with it.
Why are you obsessed with taking boys' virginities?
Well, just like how Andrew likes 18-year-olds.
Wait.
Okay.
Careful. Careful now.
Sorry, should I go
I'm
younger?
under investigation. What I have said.
Andrew, 18 is a legal age. I don't know what you class as legal.
No,
but
18 is legal. You're right.
Yeah.
But the reason, actually, and it's interesting you said this, but the reason men prefer younger women is because they have less history. That's why. The average 22-year-old has lived less life than the average 30-year-old. That's why men prefer younger women in general. But
Thought it had more to do with fertility.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I'm just clarifying because everything gets clip farmed, and before you know it, I'm back in handcuffs.
So not 18, 19. But I'd happily take an 18-year-old on their birthday, like
Why?
closer to 18. I just want them, to be young, innocent. I want to strip them from that. I
Yeah,
want to
steal
take
their
innocence.
innocence.
What in the
I want to
world?
watch their
Shang Tsung.
toes curl up as they come for the first time from a girl. Like, I love that.
If you think that society is equal and that equality is a real thing under feminism, how would the world respond to a man saying exactly what she said? Word for word, verbatim. How would society respond to that? And if you can think of a negative response, then society isn't as sexually liberated as it says. It's just sexually liberated for women. And that's part of the reason why you see all these pro-abortion arguments and all these other things. The sexual liberation is for women. And that's why when men are just as sexually liberated, you get a Me Too movement scenario. It's because it's to control male sexuality for dominant men, but to allow for promiscuous women to do whatever they want without consequence, even natural consequences like child rearing.
And I also think it's educational.
Or pregnancy.
So I'm obsessed
How's
with
it educational?
You think about sex education at school. It's from a middle-aged teacher that's not been laid. And they basically say you have sex or you're probably going to die from an STD. There's no information. If anything, they should whip up one of my DVDs, put it on screen and show, look, that's how the dick enters the pussy. This is how you get a girl wet.
Ew.
There's none of that.
No.
So me having sex with them shows this is a woman's body. Yes, a woman's, Andrew, not trans. And
I don't think you're trans.
and
We'll come to that.
they don't know how to pleasure a girl. They've not touched
So
a girl.
this
They've
is her
just watched
delusion.
videos, online where they slapping, these choking, these hair pulling, and then they go to do it on a woman or a girl for the first time.
That's
She's probably
terrible.
going to cry rape for the next day.
Yeah, you're probably going to get a criminal charge of that. You're probably going to
Yeah.
get sued if that happens. Suspended.
Probably need to talk from experience there, but like with me, I love educating them. Like they've never fingered a girl before. They've never.
So you
learnt what
educate
they
your
like.
guys
She's an educator, guys.
when you sleep with them.
Not all the time. Some of them are in their 80s and their wife's dead. Like they've been having sex for years, but some of them are 18 and haven't lost their virginity. They haven't been having sex. So I love lying there and saying, look, do whatever you want to me, trial and error. And if anything, I'm protecting women because then the next girl they sleep with, they know how to choke properly. They know how to slap. They know how to fuck and they know how to pleasure her. And also I give them such a safe environment. Like, I mean, if you had an 18-year-old son, would you send him to me on his 18th birthday?
No. What are you talking about? This is disgusting. No.
So
No.
serious. Okay, so your son will probably lose his virginity after going to a club. He's probably been drinking. The girl might have done drugs. They then go back to some hotel or
I
parents'
don't
house,
think
whatever.
I'm raising
Yeah,
him
but
that
see,
way.
but that's just in modernity. We've just been taught to accept that. We've just been taught that these are the new rules of life and it can never go back to the way that it used to be. And why not? Literally just 50 years ago, it was this way. It was expected. We had expectations for behavior. You weren't just allowed to do anything and society just had to accept it. Society would criticize you through shame for the things that you did that were net negatives for society. Now with this live and let live mentality, everybody could just do whatever they want to do selfishly. You see the result of society declining because society is a collection of the individuals. And if you have everybody individually doing whatever you want, whatever they want to do, eventually nobody's going to be the person that prioritizes the benefit or the well-being of society. And I think that's where we are now. We're just been told that we should accept this as the new normal. And that's just not normal. That's weird. Why would you send your 18-year-old son to any woman like that? That's insane.
Okay,
Yeah.
but regardless.
What about if he falls in love and loses his virginity to someone he loves?
And what if the world becomes a really happy place? You're talking, it's unrealistic. When people lose their virginity, it's probably after a night out.
So it's more realistic.
See, and that's what I'm saying. She just thinks that it's unrealistic. Like, you tell people you should wait until marriage to have sex, and that is just unrealistic to people. And so now, as a result, she's right. This is how people meet each other. People go to bars, get drunk, and then that's how they're losing their virginity, because we don't have any standards for these things anymore, because we've been told that we should just accept them as the new normal. She's 100% right here. Even telling people that they should wait until marriage to have sex is just like, that's impossible, bro. Like, that just asking people to have sexual discipline is insane in our current culture, because we so freaked out. People are just freaked out.
Send my son to you.
Yeah.
Who slept with 1,000.
Are you saying, Rob, that your children are going to do what you want? Is
On
that
your
what you're trying to
18th,
say?
on his 18th
Because
birthday, I'll
they're
go and find
independent
him.
people, Rob.
They are.
No, they can make
Now
their
he's
own decisions,
control it.
Rob.
They
Don't
can.
come out with that crap.
But
Well,
when you
I
think-
think my kids are. You don't have kids, and I think my
No.
kids are older than your kids. So de facto, I think I've got a bit more experience in being a dad. Because everyone
18th
talks about how it is until their kids actually do disobey them, which they do.
No, they won't.
Right, Rob, on your son's 18th birthday.
Yeah, and if they do, families have something that they do for that. They push them out. So when my dad did something that my grandmother, who's been married for 50 years, didn't like, my granddad came out with a shotgun and told him to get out of the house. If you want to make these decisions that are outside of our family structure, we have other children here. We're not gonna subvert our entire goal as a family and the direction that we're going as a family for you, because you want to make bad decisions. He had a shotgun and he kicked him out of the house. And my dad said it was one of the best things that he could have done for him, because then he had to go find his own way. And he realized that a lot of the traditions and a lot of the disciplines that his dad put into place, was my granddad, actually helped and had a lot of validity, because once you go and live for yourself, you realize you're going to need those levels of discipline. So yeah, he was told that he had to get out of the house, and that's what families did. They shunned their kids that decided to make bad decisions, because they weren't going to sacrifice the entire family structure for a black sheep kid that wants to do whatever they want to do instead of what their parents told them they should do. So they would go, okay, you want to go make your own decisions? Leave. Now parents are told you have to support and love and be your kid's friend, and you can't have any level of discipline or expectation of them, or you're a bad parent. And I just don't believe that to be true.
I'll be stood on the driveway with a balloon and a happy birthday card. I'll take his virginity, but I'll take him to a safe, controlled environment. I'm not going to cry rape the next day. I'm STD tested. I can educate him on a body. So the next girl he sleeps with, because if that's the girl he falls in love with, she's going to want a good shag. She's going to want to be pleasured. She's want to walk away from him and go, fuck, that was good. Yeah, I want to see him again. I want to stay loyal to him because he was amazing in the bedroom.
Rob, you should do it.
Do you really believe this?
Rob, do
Yeah.
it.
Okay, would you send your son to Bonnie, age 18, birthday?
I don't need
Ew,
to, but
no.
you need to.
I
Disgusting.
don't need to.
Yes, you do.
Are you judging me,
Yeah,
Andrew?
of course. I'm just saying that, like.
Andrew, I do father and son as well.
Do you?
Yeah.
No, thanks. But
Brother and brother?
No,
Bit of double
no way.
penetration?
no way.
Well, you need to
Yeah,
find out if I'm trans. I think you and your brother, double penetration.
This comes from that idea that you can't like be good at sex with one person by only having sex with that one person. That's what relationships are about. That's why two people who have their virginities come together and they learn each other, what each other wants and likes sexually. You don't have to have sex with a bunch of people to realize what you like from the person that you love. So I come from the idea where if two people love each other and they haven't experienced each other outside of each other, they can get to know each other individually and more intimately than they could if they had done all these other things with other people and they have these weird expectations. I think that it's actually more loving, and it means a lot more when you've only shared that with one other person. And I think the fewer people you share that with, the better off you probably will be when it comes to the idea of being pleasured.
And you'll know the truth.
Okay, first things first.
I know a lot of guys that would love to be with a sweet, nice woman, but they can't do it because they've been with too many hoes. And so now that they have to settle down with a woman who isn't as promiscuous as what they're used to, they have a hard time because they're used to a certain woman doing what they want in the bedroom. And a woman who's a specific type of woman who's not a hoe just ain't going to do certain stuff that a woman who is a hoe is willing to do. And so it affects everybody in that sense.
You're not trans, and I knew you weren't trans. 100%.
Is that because you've had multiple wanks?
No, it's just 100% you're.
Or is
you're
that
not
because
trans.
you left this at my last event? Oh, you don't want to touch it? I thought you might be thirsty. You want to rinse it for cum?
Bonnie.
Ew,
Bonnie.
what in the world?
I knew you weren't trans. However,
Yeah.
I would argue that a lot of the men who fuck you are gay.
No, it can be intimidating though for guys.
No, it's not about intimidation.
Intimidating?
They are gay.
It can
No,
be
they're not.
intimidating
Yes, they
for
are,
guys.
because
Their dick is entering a pussy.
there's too much male DNA all around that scenario. The reason I find
He's right.
female promiscuity, by and large, for my personal sexual appetite, quite disgusting, is because I don't like the thought of other men anywhere near what I'm going to fuck. I'm so not gay that I don't like that there have been men there.
Except if you're on a boat with 25 of them.
Well, if that's whoreland. When you're if you're in whoreland, it's whoreland. You
so
don't
that's
care.
the fork box, not the spoon box.
I guess you could argue that, yes. My point is, if I was going to take a woman seriously, the idea of another man being near her, I find repulsive. And I find it repulsive because the idea of the man repulses me by and large.
Yeah.
Any man who's happy to have sex with that many other men, when there's that much other male DNA in the room, I would argue has a streak of homosexuality to some degree.
Yep.
I would argue that those men are gay.
That's
you're
weird.
not
That's
trans,
crazy to me.
But I don't think a straight man wants to fuck a pussy that's had 10 dicks in it, or 20 dicks in it, or 50 dicks in it.
What about 1,057?
Well, I don't know. Maybe these men are just bi.
Oh, no. I'm thinking about in her scenario where there are men lined up back to back to back by the thousands. And there's obviously been remnants of another man being there, and you're doing it even though another man was literally just there moments ago. He talking about something totally different. He talking about a woman that's just promiscuous, that has individual bodies. I think the homosexuality thing goes into the fact that there's a woman that's covered in other men, fluids, and you walking in as the next fool. Oh, I'm just going. That's disgusting, brother. That's nasty. And I do think it takes a very specific type of guy, and probably a guy that doesn't care about anything sexually, morally, and he'd definitely be willing to do some gay shit, because that's borderline. Like, why are you walking in the room, you slipping? You can't even catch your feet. You like you at a skate rink, and you about to go sleep with this woman that's just been with multiple dudes right before you. That there's something about that that's very specifically nasty.
I don't know. Maybe they're desperate. You can argue lots of things.
See, I don't agree, but I do get where you're coming from. Like some of these guys, especially 6 hours in, they come to me. The floor's like an ice rink. There's that much cum on there. My face, I'm barely recognizable.
See?
Like my hair is slicked back.
That's what I'm talking about. That's gay, bro.
Like my whole body
that's gay right there.
is so slippery from cum. And yet they still come, they kiss me, they touch me.
That's gay.
And I think, fuck, what if they don't want to touch me because I'm covered in another guy's cum? And when I do the gangbangs and there's a lot of men together, I have security in that room. A lot of people assume that security's for me. It's not. It's for the other guys, because I'm always concerned, like, fuck, if another guy comes and it hits another guy,
that's disgusting.
I don't want a fight to break out. I don't want them to be like, oh, that's gay, don't touch me. So there's always security when I do these events, but it's predominantly for the guys, because I'm scared a fight's going to break out because they think it's gay.
And you respect this profession?
I understand the profession.
He respects that she owns it.
I respect the honesty, actually, what I said. But yeah, I think the men who turn up to these events are gay by and large. I think they're at least bi. Because I think that if you're a straight man, you don't really want to be near other kind of men's genitals.
Yeah, see, I understand his idea of like respecting to own it. Because like if you're going to be a hoe, just be a hoe. And be that. Don't use euphemisms for what you're doing. You're on your journey, or you're prioritizing yourself, or you're getting to know yourself and all these other things because you're ashamed of what you do. If you a hoe and you say I'm a hoe, that just is what it is. That's what you do. And you've accepted it. But when these women are out here and they're doing all these whole things, but then saying like, I'm an Instagram model, or I'm a OnlyFans model. That's like calling a drug dealer a curbside pharmaceutical sales associate. It's a euphemism. If you want to be a drug dealer, at least be a proud one. Like, it is what it is.
Time.
Do you.
In and of itself.
Be yourself.
We should resurrect Einstein and get him in this conversation. He'll tell you more about it than me. But, time's all happening at once, they say. And that, it's not linear like we believe. And there's another dimension where everything happens at once. Have you seen Interstellar?
Yes.
Cool. So if you fuck her after she's been fucked, you're fucking her the same time she is being fucked, and the dick is in there with your dick, and it's all happening in one big fucking time warp of jizz. And it's better if you're just nowhere near it. If you just
this conversation is getting me really wet.
Well, this is the thing. Well, I'm sure that when I see your next event, time warp of jizz, I expect a cut. But so for me, women say this. Oh yeah, but it was before I met you. I don't give a fuck if it was before you knew my name. You got fucked, and that's disgusting, and that offends me now. You cheated on me before I met you. That is terrible.
Is that like your insecurity?
Well, that's a perfect word. So people call it insecurity. You got onto my point. It's almost like you can read my mind, Rob.
And even if it was, why would that matter? It doesn't matter. You could call it whatever you want. You could try to shame somebody for having their preference towards something. But even if it was a quote-unquote insecurity, what would it matter? It's a disgust factor. In the same way that women like taller men because they have a natural proclivity to want to be protected, and it makes them feel more protected when a man is taller, it's the same way that men have a natural proclivity to be disgusted by promiscuous behavior. In a woman that they want long-term commitment with, of course.
People call it insecurity. They say,
if you've got 1 inch, the other guys are going to have bigger dicks.
Well,
It is the
People call it
biological
insecurity,
ick,
people call it
if
lots
you
of
will.
things, but truthfully what it is heterosexuality. And any of these men who go, oh yeah, I don't mind her being covered in cum, they need to take a long, hard look in the mirror and probably get an AIDS test because they're gay. And that's fine. I mean, some people are gay. But you can be gay. You can have gay sex with a woman. Of course you can. I mean, the point of having sex with a woman is to get her pregnant, by and large. I'd argue that being horny in general is kind of gay. To be like, I'm so horny. Like, I'm a full-grown man. I'm so
this is the
horny.
guy that said that he slept with like over 1,000 women. And now all of a sudden it's gay if you horny. But what is you, brother? I'm just going to go ahead and end it here. I'll leave a link in the pinned comments and in the description down below if you guys want to watch the full one. Till next time.